Merry Christmas. This morning, I'm sharing with you something that I learned recently, and it's like a new discovery for me. And it's about baby Jesus. And when I think of Jesus, I think of him in three different images. I think of Jesus as the newborn babe, wrapped in a manger. I think of him as a tween studying at the temple. And then mostly I think of Jesus hanging on the cross, bearing my sins. But recently, I was doing my Christmas cards and getting them sent out, and I came across this one. I got lucky and found a huge collection of beautiful Christmas cards that have the matching envelopes and everything at a yard sale this past summer. I got the whole stack for $1. And so I was able to mail out a lot of Christmas cards this year, which is very exciting. But as I was going through the Christmas cards, I seen this one and I just kind of passed it over and wasn't really impressed with it. Didn't think that it would be one I'd be mailing out. And I passed over it a couple times, but every time it sort of jumped out at me. And then finally, I looked at it and I had the thought of baby Jesus. And I never really thought about baby Jesus nestling Mary. You know, I think of him in the manger, but I never really thought about the whole fact that he was a human baby, that he nestled Mary, that she would have, like I did, my kids, she would have breastfed him. She would have changed his diaper, you know? It makes me just wonder, I mean, she went through childbirth with him, and it was painful. Eve gave us all that gift. But until I saw this card, I never really gave much thought to Mary and baby Jesus. And I wondered things like, did Jesus sleep through the night? I mean, he is God incarnate, but he was human too, Did Mary spend many sleepless nights, her and Joseph, trying to rock him to sleep, walk him around? What was he like for the terrible twos? 2-year-olds can be a nightmare. Was Jesus? He might have been. He probably was, because he was supposed to be as human as he was God. So I'm sure that Mary had to experience those times with him. And I just love how God gave me this insight to discover and to look into. And it gave me a more closer personal connection with Mary. She, like me, gave birth to multiple children, not just Jesus. She raised them, watched them grow. But then with her firstborn, not like me, she watched him die. I've actually lost several babies. When I was married previously, we tried to conceive, and I had several miscarriages. The one that I always remember the most is normally we had tried to conceive, and we would not even get to the point of having 2 pink lines. I would go a long time without a period, but by the time I took my test, I would have started my period. I would have lost the baby. But I remember the first time I saw 2 pink lines, and I was so excited and went to the doctor, and they confirmed I was pregnant. And then it was time for the ultrasound to see if the baby was in the right place and that everything was the way it should be. And it was actually a vaginal ultrasound, which with my issues I had to have. But I'll never forget lying on that bed and the doctor showing me the heartbeat. and how excited I was. But then she turned to tell me that it was in my tube, and so that the baby would need to be removed, and also the tube. And they really wanted me to go in that day and have it done, but I needed to say goodbye. I needed that chance to say goodbye to that baby. So we actually had the procedure done the next day. So I sort of know what Mary was going through when she lost Jesus, but because when I think about and I recall all that grief and that pain that I felt, it, as painful as it was, I can't imagine it being as painful as Mary's. I mean, watching Jesus carry his cross in the streets of Golgotha, did Mary think, when she saw him walking, did she think of Jesus's first steps? When they stripped him and placed a scarlet robe upon him, did she remember swaddling him that very first night when he was born? When she witnessed the nails being driven into his hands, did the memories of his young finger wrapped around hers come to mind? I can empathize with her, but I can't imagine what it was like hearing your firstborn utter his last words, remembering his very first. This Christmas season, I just hope that you all take a moment as we celebrate Jesus' birth. Think about Mary. She was the mother of Jesus, just like those of us that are mothers. Remember her too.